Man, it's been a long time, y'all. I know it's been super long since I've been on YouTube. I've been so busy getting to this money. But due to the political climate that we are living in the buffoonery, I've decided to step back into the game and we're going to start dissecting the rise of the Democratic shields and also the fall of the Democratic shield. So today we're going to look at Michael Eric Dyson, as I like to call him, the loquacious rapper, buffoon, reverend, just goofy, doofy dude, like who is a race baiter and talk this liberal rhetoric all while chasing white women. And if I'm not mistaken, he made a book about why he loved black women. And we're gonna I want to do a deeper dive into this, and I'm gonna frame this argument so you can have a better understanding of why I feel the way I feel about Michael Eric Dyson.
So I have no problem with the concept of loving black women. If you are an American black man, or if you even are of a black descent, as far as Caribbean, even the continent of Africa, that's fine. Love who you love, like who you like. The problem I have with Michael Eric Dyson is for years he's been race baiting. He's been castigating and chastising this so-called white supremacy structure. Now, does white supremacy exist? Absolutely. But here's the thing. It's one thing to actually talk against it, and it's one thing to actually to be a part of it. And one thing Michael Eric Dyson and all of these Democrat shills who I will be illuminating and highlighting, i.e. DL Hughley, i.e. the newcomer to the group Plies, i.e. Simone D. Sanders, i.e. Angela Rye, all of these people are acting like they're talking against so-called white supremacy, but they're not. They're actually the ones that's keeping you within the thralls of white supremacy. To write a book about why you love black women and then to be on CNN caping and just crashing out for a Brahmin Indian whose father happens to be of Irish Indian descent, as if this is like a powerful black woman on black people's behalf, is just silly. Now, for the people that believe that Kamala is black, I do question a lot of your sanity, because she has never delved into black culture. Just because she went to a HBCU does not make her black. Just because she dated Montel Williams does not make her black. Just because she dated Willie Brown does not make her black. It makes her an opportunist. And that's what she did. She was a careerist. And for Michael Eric Dyson, who once spoke against Bill Cosby pound cake speech, to ultimately become pound cake himself. And if you don't know what the pound cake speech is, I will put it in a clip to illuminate what pound cake is.
In the old days, you couldn't hook his fool because behind every drawn shade was an eye. And before your mother got off the bus into the house, she knew exactly where you had gone, who had gone into the house. Parents don't know that today. I'm talking about these people who cry when their son is standing there in an orange suit. Where were you when he was 2? Where were you when he was 12? Where were you when he was 18? And how come you don't know he had a pistol? These are not political criminals. These are people going around stealing Coca-Cola. People getting shot in the back of the head over a piece of pound cake.
Now, that was a excerpt from the pound cake speech that Bill Cosby did into the mid to late 90s, actually, in Philadelphia when he was talking to black families. Now, let's be honest. In most cases, that is considered respectability politics, and we understand that. The difference is, as you get older, you understand there is a slight nuance to the respectability politics conversation. We have to also learn not to just chastise the cold, but we also have to chastise the symptoms of the cold. And, to some people, Bill Cosby at the time was just talking about the afflictions and not the symptoms of the afflictions. But the problem was that how I got introduced to Michael Eric Dyson, he was just going at Bill Cosby. Now, the difference is, feel what you want about Bill Cosby as far as his so-called sexual exploits, and I'm not taking up for him with that if that's true. But the thing is, no one invested more into the community than Bill Cosby, whether it been HBCUs, community centers, brick and mortar places that people can actually thrive in. Is there a little bit of elitism in respectability politics conversation? Of course. But here's the difference. It's one thing to be an elitist and have acts to back up your elitism as far as in support of your own community. And there's another thing to be talking elitism, using biblical lines and scriptures and rapping like Tupac, all while doing nothing. And that's what Michael Eric Dyson has done, was nothing. So now let's get into the main part of this video, where we see Michael Eric Dyson go at Nancy Mace, Representative Nancy Mace, about the enunciation of Kamala Harris' name. Now, here's the thing. We should not mispronounce anyone's name. The difference is that when we're talking policy, we're talking policy. The enunciation of her name is secondhand when we're talking actual policy. Kamala or Kamala has nothing to do with 20 million illegal migrants in this country. Kamala or Kamala has nothing to do with the prices of eggs, bacon, meat, gas, your electrical bill. Kamala versus Kamala has nothing to do with the fact that you have no resources and illegal migrants are getting everything. And the one thing about the rapping reverend, aka Michael Eric Dyson, and as I like to call the one of the guys who irk my nerves the most, Kermit D. Boykins, aka Keith Boykins, they use these things. You see it on the Breakfast Club, you see it on CNN, you see it on MSNBC, where they're more concerned with the enunciation of the vice president's name than the actual harmful policies that Biden and the vice president implemented into this country the last 4 years. Now, while doing this, you're going to see Michael Eric Dyson go at Nancy Mace about, say her name, Kamala, right? None of that has to do with anything. But she's also going to checkmate Michael Eric Dyson, and this is where the thick of things begins.
Kamala's.
You had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
No,
but
you mispronounced her and you also misjudged her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name.
That's
a
refusal
to acknowledge her humanity. If I purposely mispronounced your name, that would not be appropriate.
Policies.
But when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
Oh, so now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a racist.
That is complete.
No, you don't have to intend racism to accomplish
you are intending that
your
I am
disrespect
racist,
of Kamala
and
Harris
that
is part and parcel of a
and
tradition of disrespect.
Why can't you just,
Congresswoman,
why can't you just,
I'm not calling you a racist. I'm saying what the practice is racist.
You absolutely are.
No, what's disgusting is your disrespect of her.
Professor,
this gentleman said, I didn't know her name. He's trying to do it.
Is her disrespect of women. She doesn't know what a woman is. And if 25 years ago,
white women don't have the ability to tell black women who paid the price of blood to make this country what it is, to tell them they're not real women.
25 years ago.
They care for your babies.
25 years ago, I became.
Do you think that anyone in this moment or of that shoot is thinking to themselves, he's trying to kick it to her? He's trying to kick it to her. You know, you looking at him, he's aggressive. Say her name. Say her name. You can't disrespect black women like that. Now, what's ironic about this situation is to be so demonstrative in public and to do what I'm about to show you what he's done. And this is already out there. I just wanted to give it a little bit more in depth. But to do what he already done and then to go and be in her text messages, smiley faces, kissy faces, your gorgeousness. How disingenuous is that? And how do we take him seriously? Once again, love who you love. If you like Hispanic women, if you like black women, if you like African women, you like European women, it doesn't matter. But do not aggressively talk down to her and then be in her inbox and beg her for pictures. Like, what are we talking about?
The first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina. I fought my way through it tooth
pronounce her
and nail,
name
blood,
right.
sweat,
Let
and
me
tears.
actually
pronounce her name
And
right.
Kamala Harris, if I
Kamala,
were a
Kamala.
man,
You said
I
this
will
before.
say
You Nancy
anything that I
Mace.
want.
It's
Come on,
Kamala.
it's Kamala.
You're doing this on purpose,
I am
Congresswoman.
not.
Disrespectful.
Just a second.
If,
You can't expect people to
if
respect
a
your
man put
service
on
if
a
you don't
skirt and
respect
walked
hers.
that stage 25 years ago, she
You're a
would have
white
said
woman
she would have
disrespecting a
taken
black
that
woman. That is
achievement away from
problematic.
women.
Mr.
Agreed.
That's
Dyson, let me get in
disgusting.
here
Say
because
it right.
I certainly
Say her name.
take that, but I'm
And
wondering.
a lot of rich history
I'm
comes
wondering
out of my
about
district in
Trump.
South Carolina that I am
Trump is
Say her
deeply
name.
proud of.
With
So it goes from say her name, say her right name, representative, to let me take a picture, girl. Please, baby, please. Sister, magnificent medicine, mayonnaise, beautiful salt of the earth. How weird is that? You know what's even weirder than that? Is that the very next day, he releases a poem to black women. So you're going to attack this random white woman, which I am no fan of, nor am I against that person. But then you make a poem to black women telling them black men has let them down. What do we have to do with this whole thing with you say her name and then you're coochie, let me take a picture. Coochie, smile, representative. Come on, man. So let's delve into his poem to black women, a actual less than 24 hours after he did what he did to Nancy Mace. I'm gonna say her name and say her name, which is basically showing he has a guilty conscience. Because even though he attacked Nancy Mace on CNN on air, he really just wanted to be with her. He's begging for pictures, right? And before Nancy Mace exposes him, he puts out a letter to black women. Does he explain to black women what he did to Nancy Mace after? No. But he got a letter to black women, and he's blaming us black men. How ironic is that?
just a love note for black women this morning, for little girls, for aunties, for grandmothers, for wives, for partners, for lovers, for teachers, ditch diggers.
Yo, pause that. I've been on my fair share of dates, and I've been in fair share of relationships. I've seen women do construction. I've seen women do HVAC. I've seen women electrical engineers, chemical engineers. I've seen women, some, not a lot, very few, minuscule, do an array of different jobs. I've never been on a date with a woman and she said, I'm a ditch digger. What is a ditch digger? This is him just pontificating. This is talking. He's a very loquacious, rapping reverend goofball. I just want to point that out before we get into the depth of this poem to black women where he's just simping for no reason.
Diggers, engineers, around the way girls, to presidential candidates. We black men who have too often failed you, who have too often not said the right thing at the right time, who have been vulnerable to the claim that we have forgotten what you have done for us, the magnificence of your service to our people, the beauty and power of your spirit at times when we flagged. We remember all the remarkable things you have done and beg your forgiveness.
Pause. Now, who's going to be honest? Ladies, are you going to be honest? If your man came home out of nowhere and gives you this poem, does that show contrite or some type of confession that you don't know what he's done? So we're begging for forgiveness for something that black men have not really done. Now, you could feel black men don't protect black women, but in the pantheon of things, this poem, there's no part of this poem where he's telling you that I beg Nancy Mace for pictures, I call her gorgeousness, but we're going to blame black men for not being there. How about you explain in this poem that you also want a white woman? That's just my only take on it. Like, why do we have to be a part of this? To me, this was a confession to himself. This was his conscience talking. Way before Nancy Mace put those pictures out and put those text messages out, this is him telling you like, yeah, black women, I messed up again. And black men, we got to do better. Like, come on, man.
Forgiveness for us not standing up for you when times were tough or when no one else was in the room to defend you, to assert the legitimacy and validity of your personhood. Please forgive us. But no more will that occur. And so the other night, Keith Boykin and I were on CNN trying to be respectful to the Congresswoman who insisted upon mispronouncing Kamala Harris. Do you call Melania? Do you call Ivanka? Then call Kamala. Then call Vice President Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. And soon, we pray and hope and work that you will call her President Kamala Harris.
Okay, enough of this babbling. So, okay, we get it. You're going to defend the Brahmin woman under the guise that she's a black woman, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Say her name, right? But in this poem, you forget to tell black women that you kind of also want a white woman. And that's fine. Once again, this is fine. But we're going to end this babbling. And it's just like constant, just word salad. And let's get to the crux of what Nancy Mace had to say.
I'd like to also enter into the record a screenshot of a text message I received from the esteemed professor from Vanderbilt, Eric Dyson, after my CNN interview, begged me for photos. In this text, he says, after calling me racist on CNN, shh, don't tell anybody, we look good together, and sent me a kissy emoji.
Without objection.
Then the guy says I'm gorgeous in all these photos. I don't think he's that bent out of shape on how anyone pronounces Kamala. And if we're going to have that standard, you got to hold it to both sides, not just one or the other.
So Representative Mace says on the House floor, on the congressional record, that the same man that attacked her on CNN, say her name, is also the same man that begged her for pictures and insinuated she was racist. And in the picture says, don't tell no one. Shh, we look good together. We looks good together, boss, because I really want you, right? And I have a premise. The premise is, if that woman would have said, you know what, we do look good together, Eric, we make a good couple, all he would have heard was literally the gates of heaven open. He would have just heard. But if you look at the text message, she responds, ha, ha, ha. And he says, well, your gorgeousness makes the picture. So that's it. Women, are you going to lie to me and say he was just being nice? If any of your men took a picture with a woman and you said, your gorgeousness makes the picture, you forgiving him for that? That's being nice? Or does that show the intent of getting with that white woman? Once again, I'm only calling out the fact that she's a white woman because that's what he made it. But you know what's funnier than making a random poem apologizing to a black woman? What's even funnier than that is explaining once you get caught trying to get into a white woman's text messages and calling her gorgeousness and then blaming racism and white supremacy on the reason why you did it. And let's look into that.
Hey, my friends, Eric Dyson here. Just want to clear something up. A vicious untruth and rumor that's being spread by Congresswoman Nancy Mace, claiming I was trying to hit on her. So I'm trying to figure this out. So this is our complete text exchange that she says proves I was trying to hit on her. We were on CNN together. She was vicious. She was nasty. She refused to call Kamala Harris by her right name. We had a bitter exchange about that. She claims in the interview that I called her racist when I went out of my way to say she wasn't a racist. I said, you're a wonderful woman. But let me say this to you, because I know you probably didn't understand this or mean it. But when you call Kamala Harris out of her name, that is perpetuating a legacy of inequality and of white subordination of black people. Oh, so you called me a racist? No, I didn't. So she's looking for some reason to try to exploit the situation. This is the text exchange. I sent her, Abby Phillip, the host of the show, suggested we take pictures. I said, let's take a picture. She said, Abby said, when you post it, then tag me too, and then we'll have fun. Because the whole point was two bipolar opposites. Michael Eric Dyson on one side, Nancy Mace on the other. So I sent her and she said, great pick. And I said, shh, don't tell anybody. We look good together, with a laughing face and a kissy face. And my point was, shh, don't tell anybody, because we are bipolar opposites. You're on one side of the spectrum and I'm on the other side of the spectrum. And she said, ha, 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 ha. And I said, well, your gorgeousness makes the photo, so there's that. And a little smiley face. Again, I'm just saying that trying to be nice to her in the belief and the effort that if I'm nice to her and I prove that we don't have any bitter consequences from our fracas on television, that we can be relatively kind to each other, and I'm being nice to her. There's no hitting on you. I said, by the way, I've spoken twice at the Citadel. She said, oh, that's awesome, and sent 3 American flags, and I hit the exclamation point. She put a heart on the, well, your gorgeousness makes the photo, so there's that. Then she removed the heart two days later because she knew she was up to some mayhem. I ain't tried to hit on this woman on no day. Then later on, she called me and Keith Boykin, my fellow panelists, boy.
Imagine a woman you begged to take a picture with called you boy. A white woman. So, because, you know, he has to play on the race. So imagine a white woman, a Confederate white woman, calling you boy. But you take pictures with her, numerous pictures with her, and you compliment her gorgeousness. You're just trying to be nice. So every time you see Michael Eric Dyson, I don't care if it's Real Time with Bill Maher, I don't care if it's on The View, I don't care if it's on anything that has to do with politics, he race baits. But so you're going to let a white woman get away with calling you boy, and you still take multiple pictures with her on and off set, and you compliment her gorgeousness. Women. Men already understand he's explaining. Men are not in this conversation. Women, I don't care what color you are. Black, white, maroon, magenta, yellow, brown. Is this explaining? Was he flirting? I'm not even going to play the rest of this babble, because it's babble. I proved my point. This man is a coon, a hucking buck, and he is dangerous to American freedmen, to the American black, to the FBA, or whatever you want to call yourself in this country. This is foolishness. Point blank, period. What have we learned today, folks? We learned that just because you're on MSNBC, CNN, The View, Real Time with Bill Maher, and all of these political pundit shows, you can race bait, you can call out white supremacy, but it's something about that white vagina. Ooh, it just does something to you. It makes a preacher turn something different. It makes a pastor turn into a pervert. It makes a poet turn promiscuous. Isn't that deep? This man said he's married 3 times. None of our business why he's divorced twice. But it makes you think, was there infidelity? Was there him chasing white skirts? Or maybe black skirts? Who knows? The point that we know is that these people are dangerous because they say one thing and they live another. And this just in, I actually have footage before we leave of Michael Eric Dyson leaving the CNN set.
With disrespect, you need...
Oh my God. The mother of Mecca is right here before me. Do my eyes not deceive me, or am I looking at the goddess Isis herself? Can you do me a favor, my brown skin angel? Can you tap that white girl for me? My milk of magnesia. Oh, after the devil made you, he broke the mold. Well, maybe you and I could make a little jungle fever.
Thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and next up the bat, we got the goon versus the coon. Plies. Peace.